Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
To our many friends who are spread out throughout the Conejo Valley, or perhaps even throughout the country or the world, welcome to our Shabbat services. We know that we have been here before as we have celebrated Shabbat from a distance. And we are happy that we can be here together to celebrate this time no matter where we are. So let's join together, let's sing, let's make sure that we can create a sense of connection even over the distance. So join with us as we sing. La 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 la. Now we could hear your voices spread out throughout the Conejo Valley and the world. We want to spend a little bit of time getting ourselves ready for the Shabbat by doing a little more singing. There's a psalm which is Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha. Happy is the person who sits in their home. So even though we may not necessarily want to sit in our home all the time right now, I think that we can decide to be happy, to be joyful even at these times. Hallelujah. wonderful to create Shabbat with you. It's something that we choose to do. It doesn't just happen on its own. The sun may go down on Friday nights, but it's we who decide to make it Shabbat and create the Shabbat by lighting of our candles and saying the blessings. So wherever you are, let's create that Shabbat together. So on this Shabbat, spread out throughout the Conejo Valley and perhaps the country, it is important for us to, even through the distance, to be greeting each other. And if we can greet each other, then certainly we can greet the Shabbat. The Shabbat that we've just created is symbolized in a bride that descends down from heaven wearing white. And through that whiteness, through that Shabbat bride that we greet on every Friday, we come to know a sense of joy, a sense of peace, a sense of knowledge of God. So if you have prayer books for some reason, turn them back to Temple. We need them. We're actually on page 138 if you want to sing with us.
עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך
So for our service this Shabbat, it may be a little bit different than the normal service. There's some things we may do, some things we may not do. So while it's a little bit shorter, hopefully you'll still be able to find the same meaning and beauty and sanctity in the words that we sing tonight. And so what we'd like to do is to draw closer to the words that are the central words of our story as a Jewish people, that talk about the oneness of God, the oneness of our people as well, as we draw together from this most significant quote from our Torah, from the book of Deuteronomy, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
After we talk about oneness, even as we're dispersed, there is still that sense of oneness. We talk about the love, either the love that we show for God or the love that we show for one another by staying connected to one another. We do that through the chanting of Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך, ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
We're about to do the Michamocha, this prayer that talks about our freedom. It is sung that it's the prayer, the song that directly follows our being released from Egypt. But back in Egypt, the night before we were released, we were in our homes waiting for the Passover, literally to pass over us. And it's from within those homes that we actually were safe from whatever was out in the world. So in a sense, we have returned, at least temporarily, to our Egypt. And the Michamocha, in a sense, Reminds us that no matter how locked in we might feel at the moment, that we will be free once again to connect with one another in safety and in love. So let's sing together our Micha Mocha. We're moving into the section of our service known as the Amidah, the standing prayer. We are going to be remaining seated. One, because we want to be facing you right now. As much as God is everywhere, we could be facing God no matter where we turn. You are in front of us, and we want to be facing you at this time. But I do want to just say a word. We're only going to do the first part of the Amidah, and then we're going to give you some time just for some silent meditation. But this first prayer of the Amidah, I think, is significant right now. At a time when we might feel disconnected from the rest of community, maybe even disconnected from the rest of our families. The prayer that we do as the first prayer of the Amidah is the Avot. And the thing that is significant about the Avot is that it is connecting us virtually to our Jewish family, no matter where they are, no matter when they lived. So each of us is saying that we are the children of Abraham, the children of Isaac, the children of Jacob and Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. And I think that idea that we are not bound by location, we're not bound by generation, is exactly the message that we should be carrying with us at this time. So we're going to start by singing from the Psalms, Adonai Sefatai Tiftach, to put us in that joyous, reflective mood to address God directly. La, 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 la. Please join in the Avot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון,
גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך חוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה.
I want to invite you to take a few moments of meditation, of reflection. If you have prayers in front of you, please feel free to pray those prayers now, and we'll just join together in a moment or two.
אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יהללו חסלה. אשרי העם שכחלו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו. הללויה.
So I want to talk to you for a few minutes today about this week's Torah portion. First of all, there's a bunch of things that happen in this week's Torah portion. It's ki tisa for those who are interested. The first thing that happens is that we're supposed to take a census and then pay a ransom, and then we're supposed to avoid a plague. So we're still taking the census. So that hasn't even finished yet, but certainly the plague is not working out. The no plague is still, it's. So we have been in this place before, in this place where we have had to greet each other from a distance. And I think that the fact that we are streaming from an undisclosed prayer bunker, well, it's perhaps not undisclosed. So let me just tell you, I want to tell you just a story that you already know, story of a guy who had lost his keys and was searching for his keys under a street light, and someone else came up to him and started looking with him and said, so you lost your keys in this area? And the guy said, no, but the light is better here. Right? So I think that this week's Torah portion talks about the importance of place, just as that guy was looking for his keys in the place where there was light. We also try and find things that are important to us in particular places. One of the places is in this week's Torah portion when we're talking about the place called the Mishkan, this tent where they created a place for God's presence to dwell. God's presence dwelled there. We could come there and become closer to them. It's called the Mishkan, which literally means the place where things dwell within. Tabernacle is actually the same word, but we don't know what the word tabernacle means in English. So Mishkan is just as good a word. So if we actually wanted to visit God, we would go over to the Mishkan. We might bring sacrifices again. Thank goodness we don't do sacrifices today, but still this idea of a Mishkan is a powerful one. The Mishkan was only a tent and an outer wall and an altar, kind of like a barbecue. And after hundreds of years, they took this huge tent when they arrived in Jerusalem, where it ultimately ended up, and they swapped it out for a building that they called Beit HaMikdash, the Holy House. And that was the successor to the Mishkan. In fact, when we pray directly to God during services, you know that we face this way. Well, this was not done haphazardly. This was done purposefully because this is the direction of the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy House, the ancient temple, the successor of the Mikdash. So in this week's Torah portion, there's something that's kind of surprising. Previously, if we wanted to find God, we had to come to basically Mount Sinai is the place where we came to the base of Mount Sinai and we looked up and we could see that God was way up there, very distant from us. Now, if we had a map and we were looking for God on this map, we would probably see a small icon of a mountain, and that's where Mount Sinai would be, and we would know that we could go there and we could somehow engage with God. From up there, God gave instructions about how to build this Mishkan, this place where God's presence dwells on earth. But this Mishkan is different. It's not something that you would see on a static map. It's a little bit more like a GPS, where you can see your own presence, or you can maybe see the presence of other people, and you can see them wandering throughout that map, moving from place to place. Because this Mishkan was not stuck in the ground as Mount Sinai is, this Mishkan was portable. If we look for the place to find God, it wouldn't be in a single spot. That spot was movable. It could be there one day, and it could be moved to another location the next day. But wherever the Mishkan was, there we could feel God's presence. In the Torah portion, Moses says something surprising. Moses asks God, "Are you going to come with us to the promised land?" By the way, he's standing at Mount Sinai, and he's addressing God. "Are you going to come with us, or are you going to send someone with us?" And because Moses ultimately says to God, "Because if you are not coming with us, we are not leaving. We are staying right here." It's easy to think that our relationships are connected to a single place. We might think that we can only find friendships at school or our work or at the home of our friends, but that's not what this Torah portion is suggesting. It's saying that our relationships with God or the other people that we love don't have to depend on a place. In fact, right after talking about the Mishkan, this portable place, the Torah portion talks about Shabbat. It's kind of surprising. Shabbat is not only the seventh day of the week. I think that Shabbat is meant to be the time when we can most easily find God. Our relationships are only connected to a place, but they are also connected to specific times. It's true for our loved ones as well. We could go back to the place where we first met our loved one, maybe the place where we proposed, or the place where we had our first date. And that's meaningful and beautiful. But if we go to that place that we met on our anniversary at that special time, then we feel even closer to one another. We can be reminded of our relationship to God by visiting the place, the Western Wall in Israel, where the Mishkan ended up. Or we can be reminded that the presence on Shabbat, whether we can be reminded of that presence on Shabbat when we gather and sing and pray and hug together. That too is a path to closeness. But now we find ourselves in a new situation. It's not only closeness to God that we are lacking. Now we're lacking closeness to anyone in large groups or even in small groups. At this time in our history, when so many people are feeling lonely and isolated, we are finding that we need to be isolated to be safe and healthy. But remember the lesson of Shabbat. We don't have to come to the ancient temple in Jerusalem or to our modern temple in Thousand Oaks to feel connected. We choose to feel the sense of spiritual connection when we practice the rituals and celebrate Shabbat. And we don't necessarily have to be in another person's presence to feel a connection with them. Just like on Shabbat, we can choose to create that sense of connection with God and with each other. And during this time, as we are sheltering ourselves from this virus, we are going to have to actively choose to connect with one another. It will not happen automatically. It will happen because we will choose to make it happen. Years ago, the Dalai Lama met with a group of rabbis and asked how we preserved our identity over so many years of living in the diaspora. He was asking because his own people lived in diaspora. The fact is, we didn't always preserve our identities. Sometimes we simply disappeared. But when we did maintain our identities, it was because we choose to devote ourselves, a measure of ourselves, to one another. During this time of isolation, as a congregation, we view it as our mission to help maintain and even strengthen our community. We will be reaching out to see how we can connect with you, but what we really need is for every person who cares about strengthening our community to let me know that you are willing to reach out as well. Only when we're willing to devote a measure of ourselves to one another will we overcome this sense of isolation and realize that we are stronger together. If you're willing to strengthen our community, to devote a measure of yourselves, then write me at community@adatelohim.com. Just as we commit ourselves to creating Shabbat in order to feel God's presence, we can commit ourselves to maintaining and strengthening this community during the uncertain times in which we live. Wherever you are right now, may your life be filled with love, with friendship, and the blessings of connection. Shabbat Shalom. So it's during this time that we take a moment to think about people who are in need of healing. I know that many of you are feeling perhaps sadness and sickness in your hearts. Some of you, I know, are feeling sickness of body, of mind, or of soul. For whoever you are, we ask for this blessing. I know that we can't say the names of our loved ones who are in need of healing, which we usually do here. So I'm going to ask you to think those names aloud. If you're with someone else, say those names aloud so that we can add those names to the names for whom we say this blessing tonight.
Bless the ones before us
to offer this prayer. May we who are merely inconvenienced remember those whose lives are at stake. May we who have no risk factors remember those most vulnerable. May we who have the luxury of working from home remember those who must choose between preserving their health and making their rent. May we who have the flexibility to care for our children when schools are closed remember those who have no options. May we who have to cancel our trips remember those who have no safe place to go. May we who are losing our margin money in the tumult of the economic market remember those who have no margin at all. May we who settle in for a quarantine at home remember who have no home. As fear grips our country, let's choose love. During this time when we cannot physically wrap our arms around each other, let us yet find ways to be the loving embrace of God to our neighbors.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah Shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
May all of our loved ones come to a speedy and full recovery. To that we say Amen. We extend that prayer to all those who are suffering from the coronavirus or any viruses that are extant in the world today. To all of those, we ask for God's blessing. We are going to move directly towards the last section of our service, towards our Kaddish. And I know for many people, the Kaddish is perhaps the most significant and powerful prayer that we say because the Kaddish expresses the love that we have for people who came before us. There is something powerful about being able to stand in a minyan, in a group of people who are here to stand both for and with us as we say these words and to respond to our prayers. So I'm going to ask you wherever you are, when you hear these words and you hear the word ve'imru and let us say, then I hope you will say Amen. Even if it's a recording, that you will say these words because through your words you are giving honor to the people who have died. So we first remember these people who died within the past 30 days, whose families are still within the Shloshim period of mourning. We remember Lawrence Gratz, brother-in-law of Suzanne Gallant, Rhea Rose Sturza, mother of Patricia Boyd, Jeff Diamond, my brother. And we remember these people who died at this season in the past, whose families are remembering them for a yahrzeit. We remember Robert Bernick, Pauline Bookbinder, Sally Esterson, Leonard Fiegelman, Phyllis Gentle, Rowana Gold, Mark Gold, Burton Gorbach, Dorothy Gould, Morris Keller, Marjorie Keller, Robert Kimmel, Nathan William Kritzer, Robert Levin, Deborah Levy, Leonard Maskin, Lou Nebbins, Gisela Okrent, Mildred Rose, Sylvia Sapiro, Marilyn Sunners, Pearl Wiseman, and Elaine Bauscher. For all those people, if you have a prayer book, feel free to join with us. We are on page 598. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma devarach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru Amen.
Amen.
Yehei
Shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam u'almei almaya.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'it hadar, v'it ale, v'it halal, shemei dekudusha,
Barichu.
le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiram be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. We usually stand up now and put our arms around each other. We will still sing the words, and soon enough we will have our arms around each other again. So wherever you are, hopefully near someone that you feel safe enough to put your arms around them, join with the singing of Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom, Oseh Shalom, Oseh Shalom b'Roma. Oseh Shalom, Oseh Shalom, Oseh Shalom b'Roma. Hu ya'aseh shalom.
From us here to you at home, we wish you a sweet Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.